Hi, my name is Rushikesh, and today in Ideas to Venture program, we will talk about types of the businesses and how to register them in India. So here we will learn about different types of businesses and step-by-step process for registering your business. Now you decided that you want to set up your venture, you have an idea and you have already tested its business model. I mean, it is time to then give a structure to your business, and that's where the registration of your business comes into picture. So let's understand the nitty-gritties of this. So why you should register business? There are multiple benefits of it. First of all, it would be a separate legal entity. So you can enjoy the advantages of separate legal entity, which ensures that business assets and liabilities are distinct from the personal asset, right? So if you have been just a solo proprietor, then this distinction does not exist. But if you want to have that distinction, that there is a separate legal entity which would run the business, then the registration of business is important. Then limited liability protection, protect personal assets as well as liability of the business is limited to the extent of the capital invested. So that is the protection which you get when you registered it as a LLP. Access to funding and investment. When someone invests in your business, they will actually look at it if it is a separate legal entity, and they can be a stakeholders in that. So registering a business will help you to attract potential investor and secure funding for your business growth and expansion. Brand legitimacy and credibility, like something like brand credibility which comes from a trademark or even the IP protection can easily be availed if you register a business separately as a legal entity. And then a better succession, right? Like, I mean, you might move on out of the business, but business might continue, right? So for that succession to be happen, it is good that if it is the legacy is built beyond a personal brand, and that business continues beyond a person. So that these are the benefits of registering business in India. Now, what are the key considerations for business registration? First is legal requirement and regulations you should know. You need to understand the legal framework and compliance obligations for operating business in India. Then there are capital requirement and share structure, which is based on the what type of businesses you are registering. So you determine the capital requirement and decide the shareholding structure of your company. Then you understand the tax implication and GST registration, because you need to comply with the tax laws and register for goods and services tax. Then company laws and annual filings. So understand company laws, liability structure, and fulfill the annual filing requirement. So you need to know before you register this your company, because what happens if you don't know these compliances are mandatory, and if you don't know them, it might be the problem in the later stages. So let's understand what are different types of business and what each of these different type of business has unique things about them. So sole proprietorship is a business which is run by one person. If you are opening a shop, right, you don't need to register it as in a separate business entity. You can register it as a sole proprietorship. Easier to set up and dissolve because the legal implications are limited. No separate legal entity. So sole proprietor is not exempt from any responsibilities or action of their company takes. That means that you are the one who are responsible for everything done in that business. Any debt, profit, loss belongs to the business owners only, and then proprietor pays their income tax on the business profit. So you can look at what is the revenue, what is the cost of running a business, understand what are the profits coming out of it, and then file the income tax, which goes as a sole taxpayer. It is not goes from the company; it goes from an individual. Now there is a partnership with two or more people come together. So partnership deed is guiding and binding document which where you agree that okay, how you are going to run this. Typically law firms are partnership firms. Partner may or may not have an unlimited liability depending on the terms of the deed. So they can define their liabilities in that. Debt, profit and losses are the responsibility of partner as stated in the agreement, and cannot raise fund because this is not a separate legal entity. They will not able to raise funds as a partnership entity. Now there is limited liability partnerships where two or more people can come and form a limited liability company, and LLP are responsible only for their own actions. It's a separate legal entity, so tax filing is separate and audit is needed on that. See, one of the benefit of LLP is there is no dividend distribution tax. You need to understand that, because this question will always come into mind that, okay, what should I register my company as a LLP, or if I registered it as a private limited, right? The basic difference between these two is there are two major differences, and I'll talk about that once we'll talk about the private limited as an entity. And it is difficult to raise funds, capital, VCs, equity funding, or angel investor for LLP, because they cannot be shareholder of LLP. So it become a difficult exercise when someone has to invest into LLP. Now there is one more new option came up as a one-person company, that one person can register a company. You don't need a partner. You can go solo, hybrid between sole proprietorship and a company. So you are not a sole proprietor, but you still have a company which is run by one person. It has a better operational control and taxation benefit, because now you can file your taxes as a company. For OPC, statutory audit is mandatory because it's a separate entity. A company needs to appoint a CA as an auditor. Audit is also required, and it can raise a fund through VC. For VC, it is a separate legal entity where they can invest and get shares, right? So VC is nothing but venture capital who invest into this early stage ventures. Now, one of the most favorite is private limited, which has 200 shareholders. Each member is called as a director and holds a share of that company. The members have limited liability at the time of loss or closure of the company, which are limited to extent of share held by them. So you can define that share structure, ownership structure. Because it's a separate entity, so tax filing is separate and audit is needed. Both your company audit as well as GST audits, everything required, be it is LLP or be it a private limited. We spoke briefly, right? What is the difference about LLP and private limited? Let's understand that. The first difference is, because limited liability company has no dividend distribution tax. So understand what is a dividend distribution tax. You as a company makes some profit, and as that profit goes to the shareholders, when you're distributing that profit, there would be dividend distribution tax when it is a private limited company. And when it is LLP, there is no dividend distribution tax. So if you want to make sure that your company is going to be limited among few people, and you wanted to share the profit, it is always good to have the LLP as a vehicle. Now, another major difference, if your company is going to be big and eventually you want an investment to be, investors come on board, it is always good if it is private limited, because then only the outside investor can invest into the company. Apart from these, there is also public company. So private limited company can become a public company which is listed on public market. And most of these private limited companies, when they go big, they'll go for a listing where people purchase their share and then their performance is tracked in the market. Now let's understand setting up a business in India. A sole proprietorship does not require registration, so no need of any document. However, a PAN number, TIN for tax purpose, you don't need a name approval as well. But if you're opening a shop, you need a Shop Act. If you're opening a food business, FSAI license would be needed. For a partnership business, you need an address proof of a business, identity proof, partnership registration certificate, GST certificate. No need of name approval, because it's just a partnership between two people. So sole proprietorship and partnership is nothing but when there's only one person, go for sole proprietorship. There are multiple people coming together, go for a partnership. If you wanted to be registered your company as a separate entity, then you think about LLP and private limited, where requirements are pretty similar, that you need PAN card, address proof, residential proof, registered office proof, landlord NOC and LLP subscriber sheet, and in case of private limited company, you need few more documents like article of association, then shareholding document, and name of the business need to be approved by register of the company, both LLP and private limited. And OPC, that's a one person company where registration is same as private company, except that it's only one director and one member. Name of business need to be approved again, because it's still for all practical purposes it's like a private limited company. Now setting up a private limited company, let's understand how you do that, right? First of all, you need to check business name and availability. Now what is important important about business name, you see, sometimes a company can choose any available name, and then that name becomes part of your company's identity. However, you can have a different brand name. I'll give you an example. For Merito is a brand which is part of a company which is Career Corner Private Limited. So your business name can be different and your brand name can be different, right? But having that business name and brand name as a one single identity would be helpful. So while choosing the name, you make sure that if you get a matching with your registration name as well as brand name, it is always good. Director identification number. As a director, like when two people are coming together, you need to know a DIN, which is a unique identification number. You need to get a DSC, which is a digital signature, to digitally sign electronic document during the registration process. Then you need to get the incorporation certificate, and these are the necessary documents such as memorandum of association, article of association. So these documents, why they are important? Because these documents talk about your nature of your business, right? What is the nature of your business? And once you define that, it's difficult to change it later on. Submit the incorporation document with the IOC for approval, and then submit a pay required fees and receive the certificate confirming your legal existence of your business. And that's how you register a private limited company in India. Now, after setting a company, you need to make sure you have a company incorporation certificate issued by MCA. If you are running a proprietorship company, you don't need any certificate, but you need to have a shop act if you are opening any shop or premise, right? Other licenses like avail required if you are in a food business, FFSAI for consumable, Shop Act license for shop or office, IEC for import-export business. These are some other licenses needed based on the nature of business. If you have an IP, right, intellectual property, make sure that you trademark it. Like there are two ways of doing it. One is trademarking, like logos and can be trademarked. Logos, punchlines can be trademarked, and patents like new invention, processes, or scientific creation, you need to take intellectual property rights for them through patent process. Trademarks like brands, logos, and slogans should be trademarked. Copyright, like work of authorship, if you wanted to copyright something, make sure that something you are publishing on your name, make sure you are copyrighting that. Other portals like register a startup India portal. There are benefits if you get a DPI IT registration. There are tax benefit to it. There are some tax holidays benefits you get, and register as a Udyam portal for MSME. See, one of the benefit of Udyam registration is you can avail benefit which are applicable to MSME. One very important law in this context is now MSMEs payment are to be protected, or the parties who are dealing with the MSME companies are supposed to pay their payment within 45 days, and it became legally mandatory on them, provided you have a Udyam registrations done. So company registration is an important milestone as an entrepreneur. Make sure that you understand each of these the different nature of businesses. Now, one very important question I want to answer before we close this is when to register your business. I mean, sometimes don't hurry up till you have tested your business model. I mean, or you have a clarity on who is your team and what role they are going to play, right? Because it's very difficult once you have identified someone as a director, include them, and again then you have to kick them out. It becomes difficult. So make sure that your business is well defined. It is already tested the initial waters, and you have very much confident that okay, this is going to fly. You are very much confident that okay, these are the team members who are founding members of the team, and then you can think of it as like going for a proprietorship or a solo entrepreneur, or you want to go as a private limited company. And we talked about the different implications of it. So know these implications before you register. Don't hurry, otherwise you will end up not only wasting money for registration, but also even after registration till you close a business, you have to pay for audit fees. Then there are compliances fees, and you need to be aware about that, because registering a business is not a difficult task, but doing these audits from different entities is going to be an ongoing process. So make sure that you're prepared for that. So with that, I think I'll take a pause here, and I hope you would have got nitty-gritties of setting up your business and registering it in India. Thank you.